The stories I'm about to tell you can be explained with a very simple equation. When the lines of stupidity and vanity go far enough wide, eventually they'll meet into what we perceive as honor killings. My name is Cameron. Welcome to TruRed Crime. I'm going to tell you the stories of Aneesa and Arooj Abbas. Then my second story will be about Amanpreet Kaur and Amandeep Singh, who were shot and killed. Both incidences were done in the name of honor. I'm going to explain honor killings and give you the cultural insights on why this happens. But before I continue, two quick disclaimers. Number one, I am of Pakistani origin. I know the South Asian cultures very well. I've been to Pakistan on 5 separate occasions. I was born and raised in Britain that has a large Pakistani community. I now live in America, where on the East Coast I pretty much know a lot more Pakistanis because the population is bigger. I am more than qualified to make this film. Number two, some of you who are South Asian who are watching this will get offended. If so, good. I am glad, because somebody needs to call this shit out. I found some newspaper articles on these stories, so let's get into it. Now, several men have been arrested after 2 Spanish sisters who were forced into marrying their cousins in Pakistan. They were reportedly tortured and shot to death in what is being dubbed a heinous honor killing. Arooj and Aneesa Abbas, aged 21 and 23, who lived in Barcelona, were tricked into flying to Pakistan, where their husbands Hassan and Atiq tried to get their wives to sponsor Spanish visas for them. When the women refused, the young women were tortured to try to get them to comply and eventually fatally shot. So let's explain this so far. You got 2 sisters in Spain. They're Pakistani, right? They were born in Pakistan, but then they ended up in Spain when they were young, I'm guessing. This means they have Spanish citizenship. This gives them access all over the European Union. It allows them to travel around the world a lot easier. Living in Spain, you have much better opportunities economically than living in Pakistan. Therefore, for the family in Pakistan who wanted to marry them, their incentive was, well, our sons can move to Spain, they can live a better life, they can make more money as the euro is more valuable than the Pakistani rupee, they can send it back to us and we can then perhaps get out of poverty. Yes, it's messed up, yes, it's shallow, but welcome to the inner depths of honor killings. The husbands, the sister's brother, a paternal uncle who was also a father-in-law, another cousin, and the remaining father-in-law were all taken into custody over in Pakistan. 2 other men who are thought to have played a role in the elaborate murder are still at large. The plot was reportedly hatched after the sisters, who had been living between Spain and Pakistan and who were angry at the arranged marriages they were both trying to end, pretended to apply for visas for the men. When it became clear they either did not apply or had intentionally made errors in the applications to avoid having the men come to Spain, the young women were tricked by their own mother into going to Pakistan, where they were murdered. The investigators confirmed that both sisters were killed in the name of honor. Once there, they were taken to a location outside of Lahore and tortured and killed by a man who was both a paternal uncle and father-in-law to the eldest sister. Now, it's still an ongoing investigation, so there really isn't any more information on that. There's no court hearings yet. There's no, court cases or anything of that nature. But in Pakistan, for murder, the penalty is death. So let's break this whole story down. Number one, why did the sister's mother force them to go to Pakistan? Well, let me give you the scenario. Yeah, the mother approached both sisters and said, hey, look, we have these cousins or family or whoever in Pakistan. I'd like for you to marry them. The sisters said no. The mother then would have said, how does this make us look? Oh, you're bringing shame on the family. Oh, I'm your mother, you must listen. Or this or that. Guilt trip. Guilt tripping them into doing it. Now, the sisters have love for their mother, right? They obviously respect their mother if they in the end decided to get married to these, cousins. But I guarantee you this, it goes further than that. I guarantee you this. The mother of the sisters and the mother of the husbands would have planned this years ago. years ago. And the reason why is because for a lot of South Asian women, marriage is the key to success. You see, for them, when they came over to Britain, right? When they came over to America, when they went to other parts of Europe, they were plucked, taken out of poverty, and now their lives are a lot better than when they were young and they were living in poverty. So you can understand the economic migrancy there, right? So for them, the sister's getting married, the son's getting married, they think the moment they're married, their life is set. This is the mentality. You see, there is an obsession with marriage in the South Asian cultures. In Pakistan specifically, it seems from religious dogma, as in Islam, getting married is completing half your religion. But there's a difference between getting married and being obsessed over marriage. My guess in this case would be the mother told them to go to Pakistan as it wasn't a good look. And that right there, it wasn't a good look. I know it sounds simple, but that is vanity. That is where all honor killings come from. These people are driven by what others think of them. They care more about how people perceive them than their own family. A small example, when I was in Pakistan back in 2005, my cousin took me out for a meal. He asked later if I was full, and I said off the cuff nonchalantly, I could have probably had dessert, but I didn't, as I didn't trust the milk. Now what you have to understand is Pakistan is a third world country, right? So when I go there, or whenever foreigners go, they are told, just drink the bottled water, don't drink anything else. So not trusting the milk is normal. But my cousin responded, wow, what will people think if they knew I left you hungry? So you see there, that's a nonchalant off the cuff, just a random conversation. But even in the humor, the perception of other people means so much. But look at the term, honor killings. Some of you will comment and say, well, there's nothing honorable about this. Yes, we know. The reason why it's called honor killings is because the suspects, they do it in the name of honor. So they see it as an honor killing themselves. You and me, we know there's nothing honorable. So as I said, the elders in the family would have hatched this plan in this story years ago. They would have said, all right, we've got 2 daughters, let them get of marriage age, let them get settled in Spain, then you can, your sons can marry them, then they can move over, and then eventually you can come over yourself, and your lives will be a lot better. Now in terms of bettering your life, I can understand that kind of mentality, right? Like once you leave poverty or a war-torn area or something of that nature, slowly you're going to want to bring your family over to, whichever part of the Western world you're in. But at what cost? How fucking vain do you have to be like, well, how are people going to look? How is it going to look? People are going to think so bad of me. You're not special. The level of ego, you have to understand what's going on here. Arrogance, ego, vanity. Let me explain this to you, yeah? When you say, what are people going to think? When you say, well, there's going to bring shame onto me. What you're actually saying is, I'm so special that people are going to be shameful of what I've done. I am so wonderful that if I do something bad, people are going to think, oh, haha, look at that bad family. You fucking moron. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. 99.9% of all this vanity bullshit within honor killings does not exist because it's all in here. It doesn't exist out there. And even if it did, it's not worth the price of your daughter, you muppet. I don't mean if you haven't been to South Asia and Pakistan specifically. Do you know what it's like? You land in Islamabad airport. The moment you go outside, beggars everywhere. You're talking people coming up to you, holding your shirt, begging you for money, right? The homeless, poor people. Like I know in America there's a lot of homeless people. Over there it's a different level. People without legs, people without arms, they come to you and they're like, paisa. That means money, right? And because my family is from Kashmir, the literal mountains where my granddad's side of the family have never had electricity. Over 100 years they've lived there. They've never had electricity ever. Where they shit in a hole in the ground. What kind of life is that? Right? Like you see animals, you don't realize that animal is going to be your breakfast, bruv. Living in these mud huts. I'm not mocking it. The natural beauty is amazing. But when you're living with those kind of standards in today's world, you don't have the fucking time to be worried about what other people think, the level of stupidity never ceases to amaze me. In our next story, a love marriage couple was shot dead outside their home in Dala, which is along the Indian and Pakistani border and near Tarn Taran Sahib in the province of Punjab. The incident happened at around 8:30 am on September the 15th, 2019, and the police believe that the girl's relatives were responsible for committing the double murder. The victims were identified as 23-year-old Amanpreet Kaur and Amandeep Singh, aged 24. They had been married since 2018. Police officers have said that Amanpreet's family members committed the double murder as they did not approve of her love marriage to Amandeep. Let's explain this term love marriage. You see in the Western world, in America, in France, in England, wherever. Nobody ever uses the term love marriage because you marry someone you love, generally speaking. You understand what I'm saying? But the reason why in the South Asian cultures the term love marriage is a thing because you also have arranged marriages. So when you have a love marriage, that kind of tells the wide public you found this person yourself, they're not your cousin. The couple were in Jahabal Kalan village and were on their way home when a car stopped in front of them. 3 of Amanpreet's cousins were in the vehicle and they forced the couple into the car. They drove to Dala where the couple were attacked with knives and then shot. The suspects threw their bodies out of the vehicle before driving off. Amandeep's father, Sukhdev Singh, he explained, "My son got married to Amanpreet Kaur in Punjab and Harian High Court in August 2018. On Sunday, they went to the Gurdwara Sahib on a motorcycle. About 8:30 am, I heard gunshots outside my home. I rushed out to see my son and his wife lying on the ground in a pool of blood. I also saw a Maruti Suzuki Swift car leaving the spot." The father went on to say that his son died on the spot and his daughter-in-law died later in hospital. The father accused Amanpreet's relatives of being responsible for the murders. As he stated, the police were informed and they soon arrived at the scene. The bodies of the 2 victims were sent for a post-mortem. One of the police officers said, "Preliminary investigation shows the couple was hacked and then shot. We have booked 10 people, including 4 by name, who are relatives of the dead women. Of the 4 suspects, 3 were cousins and 1 was the father of the daughter." The father of the daughter that is, he claimed under questioning that it was the nephews of his family that did it and he and his wife accepted his new son-in-law. So currently the case is still ongoing. I don't know what the outcome is, but look at the 2 crimes now, right? One took place in Pakistan, one took place in India. The only difference between India and Pakistan from a cultural point of view are the religions. Pakistanis practice monotheism. In India, predominantly the religions are polytheistic in nature. That's not a gross overgeneralization, that's just how it is. So I don't mean to be offensive. There are some slight other cultural differences, like a lot of Indians do not eat meat, whereas people in Pakistan generally do. India obviously has a much bigger population. India is also far more welcoming to Western cultures. In fact, for those that don't know, India's been there for thousands of years. Pakistan was only made in 1947. And it came from a religious uprising with the help of the British. It's a different history, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of their cultural lives, right, the narratives, the way the people live, very similar, right? Quite conservative, generally speaking. The Punjabi, Urdu, the languages are very similar, right? They're very different, but there's some words that cross over and you can kind of understand what someone means. But both of them, both cultures, and I don't know why for the life of me, vanity is the root of everything. They care so much about what people think. Have you guys ever seen a Pakistani wedding? My God, people will spend 50, 60 grand on a wedding. Lavish cars, lavish colors, a big massive hall and all this stuff. Why? Because they just want to look good. And in the end, as I said before, nobody gives a shit, you idiots. Your daughter's life is far more valuable than any kind of comment someone can make on social media or outside or in some marketplace or some crap like that. Finally, a lot of you have asked me, why does this never happen to men? The reason why is because I can only speak for Pakistan and Islam, right? In terms of this reason, is because in the Islamic religion, the general culture is that the honor of the family is with the woman. So under the Islamic guidelines, right, a woman doesn't have to work, a man has to provide for the woman, right? If we live in a country that's fully run under Islamic law, the woman gets free housing from the government. Any money the woman has, she does not have to give to the man, right? The man has to give the woman everything she wants in terms of if she wants a house, wherever she wants to live, that's her rights, right? In return, if she isn't working, then it's her duty to raise the house, raise the children, all that stuff, right? So the role between men and women, it's very defined. Whether you agree or not, different story. I'm just telling you as it is, right? But the shame and the honor and the perception of one's family is solely on the woman's actions. So if you have any Pakistani friends, and a lot of them, if they're dating, is kind of secret, right? Or a lot of them, if they do drink alcohol, is kind of undercover, it's because of the shame and the honor. This is where it comes from. Anyway, what more is there to say about these killings? Fucking shameful, moronic, desperate idiots. Comment, tell me what you think.